I still remember that night, the hum of the old diner lights, the smell of coffee that never quite masked the loneliness in the air. It was a Thursday, the kind of night when time feels slow and the world outside the window looks like it's holding its breath. I was wiping down table 7 when I noticed a brown leather wallet, half tucked under the napkin holder. At first, I thought it belonged to one of the regulars. Maybe old Mr. Keller, who came in every night for black coffee and apple pie. But when I picked it up, it felt different, heavy, important. I turned it over in my hand, my thumb brushing against the initials embossed in gold, DR. I glanced toward the door, but the diner was nearly empty. Only a couple in the corner whispering over shared fries, and a truck driver asleep in his booth. No one looked like they'd dropped something. "Hey, Maria," my coworker called from behind the counter. "We're closing in 10 O's. Forget to clean the coffee machine." "Yeah," I replied, slipping the wallet into my apron pocket. "I just found something. I'll check it out after." When the last customer left and the neon sign outside flickered to closed, I finally sat down in the booth with the wallet. Inside was a worn driver's license, a few crisp $100 bills, and a folded photograph. The photo stopped me. It was of a little girl, maybe 6 years old, sitting on a swing, her dark hair tangled by the wind. Behind her stood a woman, smiling, holding the ropes steady. But it wasn't just any woman, it was me. My breath caught. I hadn't seen that photo in years. It was taken before everything fell apart, before my mother's accident, before my father disappeared, before I dropped out of college to pay the bills. But that was impossible. That photo was lost when our old house burned down. I looked at the man's ID again. Daniel Ross. The name didn't mean anything to me. Not yet. The next morning, I couldn't shake it. I showed the wallet to my manager, but she just shrugged. "Probably a customer's," she said. "Drop it at the police station if no one claims it." But I couldn't. There was something about that photo, about how it ended up here, that tugged at me. That afternoon, I called the number listed on the ID. No answer. Just a disconnected tone. I tried searching online, but there were too many Daniel Rosses, so I did the only thing left. I opened the wallet again, looking for more clues. Behind the photo, there was a folded piece of paper, a letter. The handwriting was shaky, like it had been written by someone whose hands didn't obey him anymore. If you're reading this, Maria, it means I finally found the courage I never had back then. I owe you more than you'll ever know. I'm sorry for what I did and what I couldn't do. I kept the picture because it reminded me of the only good thing I ever did in my life. My chest tightened. My name, Maria. I stared at the words until they blurred. I didn't know a Daniel Ross, but he clearly knew me. That night after closing, I sat in my tiny apartment, the wallet spread out on my coffee table. The bills, the photo, the letter, all of it looked like pieces of a puzzle from a life I didn't remember. My mother used to tell me that the past never really leaves. It just waits for the right moment to come back. Maybe this was it. The next day, I took the wallet to the address listed on the driver's license, a quiet street near the edge of town, where the houses looked tired and forgotten. When I knocked, an elderly woman opened the door. Her eyes flickered with surprise when she saw the wallet in my hand. "You found this Pritchard?" she asked softly. "Yes, ma'am. I work at the Evergreen Diner. Someone must have left it there." She took it gently, her hands trembling. "This belonged to my brother, Daniel, but he passed away last week." I froze. I'm so sorry." She nodded, pressing the wallet to her chest. He was. He'd been sick for years. But he kept talking about finding someone, a girl from his past. He said he owed her an apology. Did he ever mention her name? I asked, though my heart already knew the answer. She looked up. "Maria." I felt my legs weaken. I told her who I was, that I'd found it at the diner, and that there was a photo inside of me as a child. The woman's eyes widened. "Then it's true," she whispered. "He really did know you." She invited me inside. The living room smelled faintly of lavender and old books. On the mantel were framed photos of Daniel through the years, smiling, younger, full of life. She brought out a small box from a drawer and handed it to me. "He left this behind. Maybe it'll explain more." Inside was another letter. "Maria, you were 5 when I met you. Your mother worked for me for a short time. She was the kindest woman I'd ever known, always hopeful, even when life gave her nothing. When she died in that car crash, I should have been there. I promised her I'd look after you, but I ran. I was too much of a coward. I kept your picture all these years to remind myself of the promise I broke. I sat there, silent tears falling before I could stop them. All those years of struggling alone, of wondering why no one came for me after my mother died, and now I knew. Someone had meant to. He just couldn't face it." The woman touched my shoulder gently. "He talked about you every day, you know. Said he hoped you forgave him, even if he didn't deserve it." I swallowed hard. I don't even know if I can be angry. I just wish he'd found me sooner. She smiled sadly. "He tried, dear. He just ran out of time." That night, I walked home under a soft drizzle. I held the photo in my hand, the one of me and my mother, and for the first time in years, I didn't feel lost. I felt found. At the diner the next morning. As I brewed the first pot of coffee, I slipped the photo into the tip jar. "Why'd you put that in there?" my coworker asked. "Because," I said, smiling faintly, "sometimes life gives back what you thought was gone forever. You just have to be willing to see it." And as I poured the coffee for the first customer of the day, I noticed something strange. A folded note under the napkin holder at table 7. My hands trembled as I picked it up. Inside, in the same shaky handwriting, were just 3 words. "I kept my promise." I didn't move for a long time. The note lay in my palm, its edges damp from the steam of the coffee pot, and my heart thudded like it was trying to speak. I looked around the diner, same flickering lights, same faint hum of the refrigerator, but everything suddenly felt different. The air had weight, like someone unseen was standing just behind me. "Everything okay, Maria?" my coworker called out, noticing the color drain from my face. "Yeah," I said, though my voice didn't sound like mine, just déjà vu. But it wasn't déjà vu. It was something deeper, a feeling that the past had somehow found its way into the present. That night, when I got home, I placed the note beside Daniel's wallet on my nightstand. I stared at it for house, my thoughts spiraling through memories I'd buried, the scent of my mother's perfume, the sound of her laughter echoing through our tiny kitchen, and the image of her face that always seemed to blur when I tried to remember it clearly. For years, I had convinced myself that I didn't need the past, that survival meant forgetting. But now I realized how wrong I'd been. The past wasn't gone. It had been quietly waiting for me in a forgotten wallet. The following Sunday, I visited the cemetery where Daniel's sister told me he'd been buried. It was a small plot under an old oak tree. The grass was damp with morning dew, and the headstone was simple: Daniel Ross, 1959 to 2023. I knelt beside it, tracing the engraved letters with my fingertips. "I don't know why you found me now," I whispered, "but thank you for trying." I pulled the photo from my pocket, the one of me and my mother, and placed it against the stone. Then I slipped the note he'd left into the soil beside it. "I kept my promise," I murmured, "and now I think I can forgive you." 4 weeks after that, little things began to change. Customers at the diner seemed kinder, more talkative. An elderly man left me a $50 tip and said, "You remind me of someone I once disappointed." A teenage girl asked me if I believed people could change after they're gone. It was as if the universe had started whispering small, gentle reminders that forgiveness doesn't end with words. It becomes a way of living. A month later, an envelope arrived at the diner, addressed to me in unfamiliar handwriting. Inside was a letter from Daniel's lawyer. It read, "Dear Ms. Alvarez, Mr. Daniel Ross listed you as the beneficiary of a small trust account established years ago. He requested it be released to you upon his passing, with a note stating, for the life she should have had, not the one she was forced to live." My knees went weak. Attached was a bank statement, not a fortune, but enough to change everything. Enough to finally quit the diner, go back to school, and rebuild what life had taken. I sat in the diner's back booth that night, the same place where I'd first found the wallet, and stared out at the rain streaking down the window. The reflection that looked back at me wasn't the same girl who had been lost, tired, and numb. It was someone new, someone who had finally understood that closure doesn't always come with perfect timing. Sometimes it comes in whispers, in the hands of strangers, or in a forgotten wallet left behind by a man haunted by regret. I thought about what Daniel had written, the only good thing I ever did. Maybe that was true for him, but for me it was the beginning of everything. When I finally turned in my resignation letter, my manager blinked in surprise. "Maria, you sure? You've been here 5 years." "I'm sure," I said. "It's time to start living the life someone once wished for me." She smiled, then pulled me into a hug. "You'll do great things. You always had it in you." On my last night, as I cleaned the counter one final time, I glanced at table 7, the napkin holder, the sugar jar, the flickering neon light reflected in the window. Everything was exactly the same. But there was something new. A folded note slipped quietly beneath the salt shaker. I unfolded it slowly, half afraid, half hoping. "You found your way home, Maria." I looked around, heart racing. The diner was empty, but it didn't feel empty. For the first time, I wasn't afraid of the silence. I smiled through tears, whispering into the stillness, "Yeah, Daniel, I did." That night, as I stepped outside, the rain had stopped. The streets glistened under the glow of the street lamps, and the air felt soft, forgiving. I took one last look at the diner sign, flickering like an old heartbeat, and whispered, "If this story touched your heart, remember, some promises take a lifetime to keep, but they're always worth it." Then I walked away, the night folding around me like a quiet embrace, the forgotten wallet still resting in my coat pocket. A reminder that even the smallest lost thing can lead you home again.